Welcome into episode 6 of Courtside Chronicles. This week we are joined by Ron Corsi, the Director of Athletics at the John Carroll School in Bel Air, Maryland, but more importantly, the Tournament Director of Hoops for Harmony, a high school basketball tournament in central Pennsylvania that takes place during Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. That is a very intentional part of this tournament, as Corsi puts an emphasis on helping these high school athletes learn about diversity, equity, and inclusion, with a focus on combating racism in our respective communities. We're joined by Ron Corsi now, the tournament director of Hoops for Harmony. And Ron, this is an event that you've been putting together for a few years now. So why don't you walk us through the background a little bit? How did this come to be for you, and how long has it been that you've been running Hoops for Harmony here in central Pennsylvania?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for having me on and being able to highlight this wonderful event or circle around a great cause. So, this is going to be year 5. This is the 5th edition of the Hoops for Harmony Stand Against Racism Showcase. This event started at Chambersburg Area School District when I was the athletic director there. It started out of the belief that we wanted to do something to, to serve two purposes. One, celebrate the birthday weekend of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to honor and recognize his legacy and everything that he did that has shaped our current present country. And then at the same time, there was a premise around uniting student athletes from different backgrounds, whether they be from a rural background, suburban background, or urban background, connecting kids from different walks of life, whether it be different geographic regions, whether it be different races, whether it be different backgrounds culturally or ethnicity, and getting kids together to unite them around the fact that there's actually more that unites us than divides and separates us. And so what we've been able to do is we've been able to use this showcase as a platform where we bring in high-level high school basketball teams. We try to showcase some of the best high school basketball teams in central Pennsylvania and District 3. And then we partner that with bringing in high-level regional and national teams that play national schedules that have top 100, top 50 recruits on their teams. And so we use basketball as the platform to get these teams together and bring all of the spectators and fans into one roof. But then we also highlight the premise of the weekend, which is obviously focusing on Dr. King's message of making sure that everybody is judging people, as he said, based on the content of their character and not the color of their skin. And so what started 5 years ago as a small, 20, 30 team event has now exploded into 52 teams, 45 games, 3-day extravaganza. And I just think it's really, really cool that we're able to showcase such great basketball, to champion such a great cause, and send out such a great message to the world on a holiday weekend that we often forget why we have Monday off.
Exactly. Well, a lot to unpack there, Ron. And let's start with, you talk about the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. weekend. And again, you just said it there kind of at the end. Sometimes people can even forget, why that Monday is being taken as a holiday or being taken off. Why was that such an important and vital part to you to incorporate into this Hoops for Harmony tournament?
Well, I think that it's just the messaging of Dr. King and his legacy and all that he did to transform this country, and not just him alone, but all of the countless numbers of people that worked with him to be able to shape our current situation here in America. I think it's I'm a old history major, got my degree in history, taught history, and I was always taught if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. And I think that it's important for all ages, young and old, to remember some of the struggles that we had in this country during the civil rights movement, and just the massive projection that we've been able to obtain over the last 50, 60, 70 years. The progression that we've had in this country is amazing. And I think we still have a long way to go. It's ironic. People have asked me over the last couple of weeks, you're no longer a York County athletic director. Why are you still doing this? Why are you still doing it in York? Why not move it or just say, hey, we had a good run? And the answer is very simple. The cause and the messaging around Dr. King and around the message of harmony and unity is too important. It's too important to let go. And it's something that I champion in every day of my life. And so for me, the premise of this event is that we're getting these high school student athletes who are future leaders. And if we can get them in front of, educated professional speakers that can expose them to kind of where we've been, where we are, and where we're going, I think that is paramount to the next 15, 20, 25 years of our country. I often have kids, young men and young women, ask me questions about how to encounter or how to address racism when they're in a situation where it's, put in their face. And so this event is a great opportunity to, engage in great conversations so that 20 years from now, I have to end up changing the name of this event because our future leaders now not only denounce racism, but don't allow it to happen in their place, don't allow it to happen in their presence. And for me, that is why, I'm going to have 72 hours of sleepless nights here coming up next weekend.
A busy, but I'm sure very enjoyable weekend for you to see it all come to fruition. You talk about the student athletes as well, and I know that's a big part of this tournament is not only are these kids being put in Central Pennsylvania to play basketball, but as you said, they're there to be educated as well. What is it that you hope they can get out of this weekend, not from the basketball standpoint, but from the education standpoint that you mentioned?
So my hope and my whole purpose of doing this event is that these student athletes walk away from their game and from this event being better people. I think that, and that's not to say that any of them, have any deficiencies arriving to the place, but I think that our student athletes really, really embrace the messaging around this event. As we've done for the last 4 years, this year we will continue to have our student athletes both read and if they feel that the message resonates with them, sign our anti-racism pledge. And I think that that messaging around that anti-racism pledge really, really resonates with our student athletes because they really start to identify what this event is about. And it's not just about playing basketball and getting a t-shirt in a post-game meal. It's about celebrating Dr. King and knowing that his legacy and what he died for is something that I need to always carry with me in every walk of life. I think it's really cool that when I have two teams that come in at the same time and I dress them together, and maybe one team is predominantly white and one team is predominantly black, and we give them the same message that, hey, 50, 60 years ago, we wouldn't be able to stand in this room together and interact with each other. And so it's really, really cool that all the progress we've made to this point, we need to continue that messaging and make sure that we continue to grow and evolve far beyond where we are right now. I also think it's important that our kids walk away from this weekend with an understanding of it doesn't really matter what I look like or where I live. And conversely, it doesn't really matter where someone else looks like, what someone else looks like and where someone else lives. It's really about who they are as a person, their character, their beliefs. And that's something you see throughout the weekend of these events. And it's something I hope our kids leave with is a renewed sense of I don't have to judge people based on what they look like. I judge people based on how they interact with me, how they treat me, and more importantly, how they treat other people.
Take us into the room for us that don't get to experience this education and this these groups that you talk about gathering these student athletes together. What does the activities look like? Like, take us into that room. What does it exactly include, and what will these student athletes be getting in their short weekend here in Central Pennsylvania?
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to formally invite you in the room. I would love for you to experience. I would love for you to hear the speeches. I would love for
Yeah.
you to see it firsthand. So if you're at the event and you want to pop your head in, I would gladly escort you in to do that. But
Awesome.
so I'll give you a little peek behind the curtain. Essentially, when every team arrives, we have a room or a private space where we bring them on all together, and I greet every team that arrives to the event. And after I greet them, I explain to them that although you're here to play a great basketball game and you're going to get t-shirts and goodie bags and a post-game meal and it's going to be a lot of pomp and circumstance around this event. I remind them of the purpose and the premise of this event, which is what we just discussed around Dr. King, the legacy, and the name of the event being Hoops for Harmony, Stand Against Racism. After that point, we have each of the team captains from each team grab a copy of the anti-racism pledge and they lead their team in reading the pledge together. And so the team collectively reads the pledge, and the pledge simply just talks about I believe in respect of human dignity. I believe in love and harmony for all people from all walks of life. I denounce racism. I denounce hate. I denounce bigotry. And they read it together. And that's one of the coolest parts of the weekend for me. It's exhausting because I have to give the same speech about 55 times, but it's so cool to see the kids' eyes get really wide as you're reading the messaging to them. And you can see the kids that really take the messaging to heart. You can see the kids that it really is an eye opener for them. And then from there, what we do is we tell the kids again, although this pledge is not mandatory for participation, if what you just read resonates with you within your spirit, we would humbly ask for you to sign it. We have the kids keep the pledge as a kind of a remembrance of the weekend and of the event. I encourage the kids to take it home and frame it or laminate it so that it lasts. And it's something that I hope that kids that played in our event, the first event 4 years ago, still have their pledge. From there, they go ahead and compete for their game. They do their normal game, pregame routine. They compete. After the game, we gather all the teams and we take them to a designated area, which is typically like a cafeteria or a lounge area, and we serve them a post-game meal. But when we do that, we seek teams that are from different areas, that have different demographics, that look differently. We seat them together and next to each other, and we encourage them to have conversations with each other. And that's the second coolest part of the weekend is when I walk into the cafeteria and I see, again, a kid from very rural Pennsylvania interacting with a kid from very urban Baltimore City, Maryland, and they're exchanging TikTok information. They are talking about what AAU teams they play for. They are, playing music on their phones and dancing to the same music. And it's really cool because it unifies these kids that in no other scenario would connect, would communicate, would converse with each other. And it's really awesome because then at the end, before they leave, we reinforce the messaging that just as you had a great interaction with this team that you may or may not ever see again in life, walk through life remembering that you have connections with anybody, no matter where they're from or what they look like, because at the end of the day, we're all one human race. And so that's the messaging. That's kind of the practical nature of what this event accomplishes for the kids. And I've gotten emails and correspondence from coaches and student athletes in the past 4 years thanking me for connecting them to a different me for the messaging, thanking us for providing this platform to have these types of conversations. So it's really cool. It's meaningful work. And that's the reason why we continue to chop wood and produce out what we hope is a high level product every year.
Absolutely. And the basketball is, I'm sure, still a very fun part for you and a fun part for the kids as well. So let's talk a little bit about the growth of that aspect as well. I know you mentioned from year to year just the amount of teams that have agreed to participate. This year, I believe it's up to 52. So what's the growth been like and what are you most looking forward to this year to when these 52 teams square off here in a 3-day span?
Absolutely. So, like you said, we try to grow the event every year. We try to make it bigger and better because obviously you don't want the event to become stale. You don't want it to become redundant. You want to make sure you're constantly growing, evolving, and producing a better product this year than you did the year prior. And I think that we've done that this year, like you said, just with not only the sheer volume of teams, but also the talent level. And so we do that two ways. Obviously, we want to showcase high level Central PA District 3 basketball. And I think we've been able to do that. We have teams like Central Dolphin boys, York High boys, Chambersburg boys. The list goes on in terms of high level Central Pennsylvania basketball teams that are going to be competing and playing in really good basketball games. And these are names that, local fans know well and have followed and embraced. Even on the girls' side, we have the two-time defending District 3 champion York Suburban Lady Trojans that are coming to participate. And I think that that's important as well to be able to highlight the high-level girls basketball as well. Coach Jess Weaver and her team has done amazing things over the last couple of years. And so having them participate, again, adds an element of class to the event. And so you have your locals that all the people are familiar with in Central PA. And then what you do is you add a cherry on top of that Sunday by bringing in nationally ranked, nationally traveled teams. We have approximately 10 national level teams that play national and in some cases international schedules. And we have over 20 nationally ranked recruits that'll be participating in this event. So an example of that is, the Bullis School from down in Maryland, right outside of DC, has a kid by the name of Xavier Skipworth. He is a top 100 recruit in the class of 2028. And it's really cool that he's participating because he has York roots. His family is from York. He's from York. They still have a local church in the York area. And so he gets to come home, if you will, to play in this event in a national game against a West Town team that is known for producing NBA guys, Derek Lively, Cam Reddish, Mo Bamba, the list goes on and on and on. So that's kind of a microcosm of the high level national games we have. Once again, we have a national team coming from Canada. We have the number one ranked team from Canada coming down, Ridley College Prep. They play an international schedule where they go all over the country, and they as well travel to the Bahamas and overseas. And they're going to be playing the Phelps School, which is also a prep school that also plays a national schedule that has high level Division I kids. I can go on and on for hours. You don't have enough time. You don't have enough data for me to record how many good games are going to be on this schedule. Sunday, we have a Baltimore Catholic League matchup. Two teams from Baltimore were gracious enough to move their game to be a part of the Hoops for Harmony showcase. So we have the John Carroll School playing Mount Carmel. They're both ranked 1 and 3 in the entire state of Maryland playing in the Hoops for Harmony showcase. You have a UMBC commit on that roster. You have a Lafayette commit on the roster. It's just high level basketball. So what I've seen over the past 4 years is people typically come to cheer for their home team. And as they're getting up to put their coat on because their game is over, they see this 7-foot kid coming out and windmilling in the warm-up line, and they go, oh, maybe I'll stay and watch a little bit of this game. And so what ends up happening is people post up for hours on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and they just watch 3, 4, 5 games because it's that entertaining. And in between that, this year, we're going to do something new. We're going to, in between games, we're going to play snippets of Dr. King's speeches just to keep the focus on the purpose of the weekend. Everybody's familiar with the I Have a Dream speech, but we also want to share some of his other less known, less popular speeches that he talks about unity, harmony, connectivity amongst the human race. And so I think that's going to be a cool addition that we're going to do this year. So as you're waiting for games and as you're going to get your hot dog from the concession stand, you can hear Dr. King and renew your spirit and energy around harmony for all, love for all, unity for all.
A great touch. I love that, incorporating that. And it's funny, I think you talk about the people that get up and the people that are ready to put their coats on, obviously winter time and about ready to head outside. And then, like you said, those they see these warm-up lines and just the sheer talent that's on display in a tournament like this. What is, and I know you touched on a few of them, but do you have a favorite matchup coming up this weekend? Is there one that you've circled and that
Ooh.
you're really, really looking forward to and have been kind of waiting for as we get closer to Hoops for Harmony?
Oh man, I don't have one favorite. It's impossible. It's like asking a parent to pick their favorite kid. It's impossible to do because you love them all, but you love them all differently. So what I'll do is I'll give you a couple, and you can kind of feature the ones that you want. Um, I'd say the top PIAA District 3 game of the weekend is going to be Sunday night, the headliner, 8:30, York High versus Central Dauphin. Two 6A powerhouse programs. York High obviously has a stud guard in Nas Barnes. Central Dauphin has several studs in terms of Jelani Easter, Shakur Starling. I think that is going to be a top level, high level PIAA District 3 6A basketball game. I think that is going to be an amazing, amazing game. On the national level, I think that it's a tie. I think that the Bullets versus the West Town game is going to be amazing. I also think that the John Carroll Mount Carmel game that I just mentioned, that is a Baltimore Catholic League game, is going to be amazing. And then I'm doing more than I said I would, but I mean St. Francis playing Huntington Prep is going to be amazing. Ridley playing Phelps is going to be amazing. I think if you're a basketball fan but you're not familiar with these national teams, if you pick any national game to come watch, you won't be disappointed. It'll be high level basketball, Division I recruits, 7-foot post players, 6'8" wings. I think even if you're not familiar with a team or its roster, if you pick a national game and come attend, you will not be disappointed because it's going to be an amazing showcase. And then the last part to your question, the top girls game of the weekend, I'm going to shout out again my family over at York Suburban. I think York Suburban ladies and Coach Jess Weaver playing against the Muhlenberg girls who are having a good year. I think that's going to be the top girls basketball game of the weekend. So pick your poison.
There it is. There it is. That's the short list. That's just 6 of what would it be?
6 of
27 games?
45.
20, yeah, exactly. Just an awesome event. And the best part about it too, I think, is you look at the tournament director, Ron, you're a basketball fan too. And that's what that makes this such a special event, is that not only do you care about the purpose behind the event, but you care about the games and these athletes and these teams. And as you mentioned, bringing them together, bringing different races and communities together. It's year 5, like you said, of this event. But what do you see in terms of the future? If you look maybe another 5 years down the road, what are some goals that maybe you have for Hoops for Harmony as it continues expanding and continues spreading the messages of Dr. Martin Luther King?
Absolutely. So as a former college basketball player, I obviously love the game of basketball. I coach it. I stay involved with it as much as possible. And so this is absolutely a labor of love, using basketball, which I love, to promote a cause that should be near and dear and important to all of us. And so the growth of this event is very, very, very strategic. And so what I see next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, are a couple different growth points. First and foremost, this is the first year we've done this event. We've been able to play games on a college campus. We're playing some games at Penn State York, which is amazing. We're grateful for them to let us use their facility. My goal is, with the evolution of the event, that we maybe play the entire showcase on a college campus. So the first thing that comes to mind is maybe like a York College, where we play the games in the Grumbacher Center as well as in the field house, and we have everything on the same site, playing at a college gym, college facility. I think that would be really, really cool. I think it elevates the profile of the weekend and the showcase being on a college campus. My second goal is to continue with the growth and expansion of the high-level national teams. For those that are familiar or maybe not familiar, there is a Nike EYBL Scholastic League that is the top high school prep schools from around the country, schools like IMG Academy and Mount Verde. My goal moving forward is to at least get 2 to 4 of those teams to participate in this event, because those teams always have future pros. They always have guys that are getting recruited by Duke and Carolina and Kansas. They have teams that feature players that absolutely you'll be seeing playing in NBA games somewhere down the road. And so my goal, the second part of the evolution or expansion of this event as we grow it, would be to get some Nike Scholastic teams, as well as some of the teams that play in national circuits like the Grind Session and other national circuits that host high-level teams, so that you and I can sit back and watch a game, and then 5 years from now, when we're watching the same kid playing in the NBA, you can say, I remember when I watched that kid play at York College, or I remember when I watched that kid play at York High. That's the goal. That's the next step of this event.
That's awesome. Well, Ron, we appreciate you for joining us, and we'll be out there, of course, covering some local basketball, some Central Pennsylvania basketball. But I know some of the national games, I think, are going to draw me back in the gym too. So very much looking forward to the games. Very much looking forward to seeing the event, and we can't wait to get out there.
Hey, I appreciate you guys covering the event. I appreciate your support. Looking forward to seeing you next weekend. And like I said, remind me of taking you behind the curtain to see some of the talks we have with the teams. I'd love for you to see it firsthand and in person.
The 2026 edition of Hoops for Harmony includes 52 teams. They will tip off on Friday, January 16th, with games running through Sunday, January 18th, across Central Pennsylvania. Reporting in studio for Courtside Chronicles, I'm Caleb Nixon.